I remember the first time I heard the band, I was like, oh, okay, like, yeah, I get what they're doing, and like, that's cool. Like, this guy can actually sing. It's good. It's not for me, but it's
Right.
cool. And then I had never seen the band. I never actually only saw you guys one time, and it was in Toronto when I went. That time I saw you with, I think it was Angel Dust.
Oh, okay, cool.
I was on a work trip, and I'd left a meeting. I almost had to show up in my suit to be there, but
I wouldn't have been surprised.
I had to like dip into my hotel room, change. I saw you guys, and I believe it was touring on that record, and Love There's No Law.
Hmm.
I recall at the time I was talking to a friend of mine who's like hardcore adjacent at this point, like older person, been around. And we were talking about it. I was like, yo, you should check out this band. And I was talking about that song specifically. And they looked up the band. It was like, the internet's a thing at this point.
Yeah.
He looks at the band and he's like, that song does not, in my mind, doesn't go with this band. I was like, listen to the record. It's a cool record. And that song was real impactful to me in a lot of ways. And it made me really feel that there was something very different about this band that went beyond the vocals and went beyond the way that you were presenting yourself. It just made me feel like you were a really serious band about doing what you felt was right for you. And you wanted other people to do that.
Pretty much.
All right. So that record happens. You start getting the backlash that, like, I don't care if your singer has a unique style or whatever it is, your band becomes big. People are going to shit on you.
Of course.
No matter what.
And we didn't know that because we're kids,
Totally.
22-year-old kids.
But the band then becomes like a serious force to reckon with. You're headlining shows, you're doing major tours, like all of this stuff is happening. Tell us about the transition from that record into Disharmony. And you don't have to get into like the lineup change or anything. It's totally up to you. But I just want to understand, when you said why the band failed, it's because we decided to only do what we wanted. What happened in that time frame?
I think we just didn't pay attention to what people liked about Twitching Tongues. We just wanted to write records that we wanted to write. And at the time, that was what it was. It was a riff-driven record for a band whose fans liked the vocals. And I think that it was a little disjointed to some people. I still listen to that record and I love it. But yeah, it's I think it was just not really paying attention to why people liked us. So we just did the next thing that we felt like we were going to do. And also, signing to Metal Blade and things like that was just things that all kind of just happened. And yeah, I think that we didn't want to do like the funky metalcore tours and things like that. So, and the label got sour on us from that too, because we said no to a tour where the label said no Metal Blade band has ever gotten an offer from them. And I was like, okay, I don't want to be first to 5 on a 6-week tour with this band. That sounds horrible. And we were actually scheduled at the time to do some of Bane's last shows and go to Japan. I'm like, those are things that I definitely want to do. So I don't know why we would jump on this. So like, it seems like a posturing kind of grab, and we're just not interested in that. But we maybe to have actual longevity, we should have been.
So it brings us to an interesting part in your story, and part of the idea where it's like I'm interested in where like kind of the business side of you started to develop, because you do your chops as a kid. You play in like little hardcore bands. There is 0% on the line when you're playing in those bands. You just want to put out records, have fun. You start a band because you want to do your own thing, and that thing becomes popular, and you get to that crossroads where I don't think you realized it at the time, based on what I'm hearing, which is, if we do exactly what we want, like if you don't find the balance between doing exactly what you want and also meeting the needs of like your label, the audience that you've acquired, then things can go south pretty hard. So you put out Disharmony. I remember seeing a video of you guys playing Hellfest in France in front of thousands of people.
Right. And that was right before Disharmony came out, but we played the song Disharmony for the first time.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And that's what the video is. And that video crushed and everybody loved the song. And then I think it wasn't until maybe the second or third single that everybody flipped. People still like that song. but something happened. I think just the rest of the record wasn't what, because Colin was going for big vocal stuff. Like there's a lot of new stuff, and I think maybe people weren't ready for it. It seems like it's getting like it's the record's got like a little bit of a cultish following at this point. There were also a couple crushing reviews. Like Decibel gave us like a 2 out of 10, and who's the nerdy guy on YouTube that reviews?
Oh, the guy with the glasses.
Yeah, who reviews literally everything. So it was like, okay, we got crushed by the general music fan. But he did it in a way where he like brought his friend on, and they because they were gonna crush it together. And it was just like, come on, man, look, and that was, for Colin, is kind of sensitive. He really took it to heart. And it made being in a band or being in that band difficult for him.
So at this point, the band was what you did for a living. Is that right?
I think between the studio, Nails, and Twitching Tongues, it was like that was how I survived.
Okay.
And I wasn't recording as much as I am now then, but it was scheduled perfectly between tours.
Right. So you were making a decent living off of it.
Yeah.
But if you were to lose one, like let's say you lose Twitching Tongues, that would cut into how you would be able to live, basically.
At the time, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Chris Wren, and for those who don't know, from Bridge 9, he once said to me, he didn't, I don't think he does now either. He never made his primary living off of Bridge 9. And I asked him why. I was like, why do you do Sully's and like waste all this time? And at the time I was saying it to him because I was pissed off because he wasn't focusing enough on the label. And I was like, do more for the label, like do more for our bands.
Yeah.
And Chris is kind of a interesting, he's like another dude that's been on Flappable. He looked at me and he was like, hey man, like I don't do Bridge 9. I don't draw my living from Bridge 9 because I want to do what I want with Bridge 9. And what I want to do might not be what you want me to do. And, you know, sorry about that. But basically I do Sully's, my t-shirt company, because I want to always have Bridge 9 reflect what I like and what I want to do and what I feel like doing at the time. And you can't do that anymore when that becomes your primary living. You are always at the behest of the fan base, the trends in music, this and that. He's like, I just don't want to live like that. And good on him.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that.